Sports Talk Chicago. Here for Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's the radio voice of the Tampa Bay Rays and a Chicagoland native. Please welcome Dave Wills to the program. Dave, it's great to have you on again. How are you?
Always good to be back and doing fairly well. It's been a tough little go here for the Rays. We've had a couple of our better players go down with injuries, but this team has been resilient for the last several years, and we're still plugging away. We found a way to win last night. Took a little while longer than we had anticipated, but as my mom always used to say, good things come to those who wait.
What do you make of the Rays season?
You know what? It hasn't. We have not found our stride yet. To be quite honest with you, I know there's a lot of teams saying, "Oh yeah, okay, I feel bad for you. You're 8 games over 500. You're still in a playoff spot if the playoffs were to start today." But I think the only thing you could say right now that we've done anywhere near Rays-like baseball would probably be our pitching. I mean, again, Shane McClanahan has been Cy Young material. He has been absolutely outstanding. We've gotten better than what we expected. Maybe starts from guys like Drew Rasmussen. Corey Kluber has stayed healthy to this point. He's been, good mostly, but then has had a couple of tough spots here and there. And then Ryan Yarbrough's been a nice addition to the rotation here for the last few weeks. And then we're hoping to get Shane Baez and Luis Patino back here in the next few days and go from there. But every other aspect of the game right now, though, is still not where we usually see Rays baseball. I mean, we're not really known as an offensive team, but right now we have underperformed. Even our hitting coach, Chad Mottola, stated that last night, that we need guys to be better. I know we're missing Brandon Lau, who's a 39 homer, 99 RBI guy. Wander Franco has had some leg issues for the last month, and I think that's affected him at home plate more than he has let everybody know. And then our young guys that have been given an opportunity, like Taylor Walls and Vidal Brujan, just have not really grasped onto that opportunity and run with it. They both really, really struggled. So our offense, unfortunately, has been more missed than hit. And then one of the Rays' ways since 2008 has been our defense. We have been, if not a very good defensive team, an elite defensive team. And right now we're maybe a little below average, which is really kind of shocking.
Why do you think that is for the defensive part?
I think it's part of it is it's twofold. I think I think our first basemen have not been as good at picking plays over there at first base to assist guys on the left side of the infield. We got a clinic this past weekend when the Yankees were in town about how a good first baseman can save the infield. When Anthony Rizzo was in there picking balls left and right, making plays over there to secure outs, and Ji-Man Choi is known more for his bat than his glove. Yandy Diaz has kind of bounced around a little bit, played some third base, but we've expected him maybe to be a little bit better with the glove over there at first base. And then when Harold Ramirez has had to play there, here's a guy that we picked up for his bat, and I'm not even sure we expected him to bring a glove along with him, but because of necessity, we've had to have him play some first base and even some outfield. So he's done the best he could. But, we've had Taylor Walls bouncing around between 3 different positions. He is an elite defender, but I think as a young player, this game doesn't need speeding up. For some fans, they might think that when they're sitting in the seats and they're watching the game on TV, that it's a slow, methodical kind of game. The closer you get to the dirt, the faster this game becomes. And when you are on dirt, it's a really fast game. And I think Taylor Walls has a tendency to speed the game up. He just needs to kind of calm down and let the game come to him. He's an elite defender. And I think now that he's getting a chance to play shortstop every night with Wander out, we're going to see that on display. But things can definitely be cleaned up defensively for the Rays, especially on the infield. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case here over the next few months.
What's going to be their key to recovering and becoming a potential division leader or World Series contender?
Like everybody else, health. I mean, I think we're a little more fragile because of our payroll situation. Unlike other teams within our division, a guy goes down, they can go out and reach into the front pocket and go out and get a replacement from any one of the other 29 teams. We have to deal with that with the Yankees, with the Red Sox. I think even the Blue Jays, who own an entire country, are able to do that as well. But, health is going to be a key for us. We're on the verge of hopefully getting Shane Baez back, who can be a great addition to our rotation. And then that might move a guy like Jeffrey Springs, who I didn't mention, but moved into our rotation a few weeks ago and has been absolutely tremendous. But now we could watch his innings a little more and maybe piggyback him and Ryan Yarbrough, or maybe him and Drew Rasmussen to kind of make sure we tap down on their innings accumulation. Luis Patino is another guy that's got elite stuff that if he can put it all together, can be a middle to top of the rotation type pitcher. We get those guys back. We got a couple of guys in the bullpen we're waiting to get back. Big parts. You might have remembered Kevin Cash a couple of years ago said he's got a stable full of guys who throw 98. We don't have a stable of 98 anymore. I think our guy who throws the hardest down that bullpen might be Jason Adam, who throws about 95, 96. We've got guys who come at you in different ways and get the job done, but we don't have the 98, 99 guy, but we're kind of waiting on him. That's Pete Fairbanks. I hope to get him back sometime in the next maybe couple of months. Nick Anderson was an elite reliever for us during the 2020 World Series run. We made it to the World Series here in Arlington, and he really hasn't been the same since then. So we're seeing if he's going to come back sometime in July or August. So health is a big key for the Rays to get some of these guys back. I think a wild card in this, and I'm probably speaking out of turn, could also be Tyler Glasnow. I know how the Rays operate. I know we are very, very conservative with high-end guys when it comes to them coming off the IL. And I don't think there's anybody in the Rays organization that'll back me up on this, that'll say that if all goes well, that we might see him throw a couple innings here and there in September and into the postseason. But, hey, I say never say never. And if Tyler Glasnow is a guy that can come in here and help us out by throwing a couple innings here and there in September and October, I say why not?
Do you appreciate the Rays way, knowing that you don't have a big enough payroll, but you're finding ways to win baseball games?
You have to be that way. I mean, and you've learned that since 2008. And I think it's funny that when we try to be like the Yankees and go out and make a big trade like we did last year with Nelson Cruz, I think it was the right move. I really do. And I think ultimately it did help us out, even though Nelson's numbers himself weren't as large as I'm sure he would have liked and some of the fans would have liked. But I think what it did was it allowed some of the other guys like a Rosarena to take a little pressure off him. And instead of thinking he's got to be the guy, now he can just kind of sit back and be the Robin to Nelson Cruz's Batman. Same thing with Wander Franco. I think it allowed Brandon Lau to look and see better pitches. But, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, we are a team that has to find the Harold Ramirez as opposed to the Nelson Cruz. And Harold's been a great pickup for us so far. But, that when we try to be the Yankees, it doesn't work. And when the Yankees try to be the Rays, it doesn't work for them either. So, it's the Rays way. It's about run prevention first and foremost, usually. And hopefully that will be the case here in the as we, we're at the third poll right now. And I think as a lot of old time baseball people will say that you are who you are by this time. I'm not sure we have our identity just yet because of the injuries. But, again, for everything that's gone on, I think if you asked Kevin Cash, are you pleased with the fact that you're 8 games over 500 at this point of the season? I think he would say yes.
How far do you think they go if they're fully healthy?
I think we're one of the top 4 or 5 teams in baseball. I really do. I think that, the thing that makes me a little nervous is the fact that we don't have the guy right now at the back of our bullpen. We have the guys. We have a few guys that they feel confident giving the ball to right now, like a Jason Adam, like a JP Fireeisen. Colin Poche did some nice things here at the late stages of games lately. We've seen, Jalen Beeks do some nice things, but I've always been a big fan of having a guy back there and the big moments, crucial moments of the game. And then that would kind of bump JP up a little bit, Jason Adam up a little bit to help get out to the 6th and the 7th, so on and so forth. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous is that I'd love to have, like we did in 2020, Nick Anderson was the guy until I think we ran him a little bit into the ground. But other than that, I think we've got a decent enough pitching staff, especially if Shane McClanahan can stay healthy. I mean, as I look at what his body of work so far in about 35 starts and try to compare him to some of the young lefties we've had in the past, a Scott Kazmir, a David Price, a Blake Snell who won a Cy Young, Shane McClanahan is as good, if not better, than all of them. I really think he's got a chance to be something special. A 99-mile-an-hour fastball can reach 100. He's got a really good slider curveball combination. And then he's been pitching with a changeup this year that's been a difference maker for him. That's just absolutely outstanding. So, and it's not one of those guys, too, that says, I've got 4 pitches. I've got to figure out, I haven't used this one in a while. Let me go use this one. He's got a purpose with every pitch, and he pitches every pitch with conviction. And I think that's why he has been so good.
Dave Wills here on Sports Talk Chicago. Dave, let's talk White Sox now. What do you think about their season so far?
From afar, it's a little mind-boggling and a little head-scratching. But, again, injuries have been a big thing. I think I can't remember if you and I talked much during the spring, but I do remember being in Fort Myers and talking to some of the Twins people. And that particular time, they said, yes, if you were to count the 26 players that are going to be on their opening day roster if they're healthy, they've got the best team in the division and probably by a decent margin. But they said at the beginning of the year that if anything happens to any of their key guys, they're going to be in trouble because their minor league system and their depth is really a big-time question mark. And I think that has been exposed. I really do. I think it's been exposed so far here in 2022. I think that, again, I think Tony La Russa is still trying to find the right combination. I know that they're trying to figure out things offensively, trying to get Vaughn maybe in the lineup a little bit more and trying to figure out what's going on with a few guys in their bullpen. But, overall, I'm a little surprised that they're sitting around a couple of games under 500 because of the talent that is on that team. But at this particular time, though, too, I mean, Lance Lynn hasn't thrown a pitch. You've got a couple of other guys who have been banged up. And I look at their division and, I think, Cleveland, Detroit, yuck. Kansas City, yuck. Minnesota's a good team. But I think at the end of the day, the White Sox are going to be able to beat up on some of those bottom feeders if they can get healthy again. And I think at the end of the day, they're probably still the best team in that American League Central.
Is this a La Russa problem or an injury problem?
I lean more toward the injury. I mean, again, the manager, I think, gets a little bit too much credit and a little too much, angst when things aren't going well. I think, obviously, Tony's a guy that I know a little bit. I don't know him that well. But at the end of the day, if their guys are going well and their guys are healthy, they're going to be fine. But again, it's a situation what you find out is that this isn't just about the 26 guys or the 28 guys that they had for a little bit during the month of April. This is about a 40, 50, man roster that's going to play throughout a year. And like I said last year, when you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, we used almost 60 players and almost 40, and I think we used 40 pitchers. Now, I was told there'd be no math, but 60 and 40 do equal 100, which is the amount of wins we had. But when you use 60 players and 40 pitchers, you're not supposed to get 100 wins. And somehow the Rays did. And, it's the Rays figuring things out like that. White Sox, I don't think are built that way. I really don't. So they need their core guys to get on the field and stay on the field. Tim Anderson not on the field now, that hurts them an awful lot. I think he's the straw, for lack of a better term, that stirs their drink. I think he's a guy that creates the energy on that team, that can get things going in the right direction. And when you hate to see anybody get hurt, especially a guy that's as good as Tim Anderson. But I thought that was going to be a break for the Rays, and then lo and behold, our shortstop goes down with an injury, and he's not going to be there. So that's a disservice to the fans. Two of the best players in the game, Wander Franco and Tim Anderson, aren't going to be at the Trop this weekend.
Who's the better team when fully healthy, White Sox or Rays?
I would, a great question. I mean, I think that you're looking at two teams that could really battle it out. And I think if I were to have to give an advantage to a team, it might have to be leaning a little bit toward the White Sox simply because of the back end of their bullpen. Like I said, I like having a guy. And I know that Liam can have his moments, but, I think I'd take my chances with Liam Hendricks on the mound with the game on the line. But, like I've also said, though, too, don't underestimate the Rays. We've played that game for the last 5 years, 6 years now, where you sit there and go, our left fielder against your left fielder, our center fielder against your center fielder. And a lot of managers are saying, if you play that game, you'll figure out at the end of the day who's going to win. There aren't too many days where we can sit there and go, yeah, our guy's better, our guy's better, our guy's better. But ultimately, we still win, and we find a way to win. And, I don't know what that – I always mess up this saying, not as smart as you University of Chicago guys. I was only on the campus for a little while. But what is it, the sum of the parts? And, for the whole here is greater for sure than the sum of all of our parts. And whatever it is, it just seems to get the job done.
Dave Wills still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Dave, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, your son's 5K at the Boston Harbor. What's going on with that? I'm
just glad I'm not swimming it. I've looked at the Boston Harbor. And, he's a firefighter paramedic in Hazel Crest, and he's also involved in what they call CPAT. I'm not sure exactly, but I think what that helps out is with young firefighters who have to train for firefighter paramedic, physical tests. And so he helps run that as well. So he's been working out really, really hard for the last several years and has put himself in great shape. And this Boston Frogman thing that they're raising money for some of the Navy SEAL Foundation, he's going to swim a 5K inside Boston Harbor. He came out to Florida a couple of weeks ago to get some open water training because, again, it's one thing to swim in a pool with no current. It's another thing to swim in a place that has some current and maybe some things flopping around in the water while you're doing it. And he got a couple miles in while he was in Florida. was able to get some great workouts in. And he said during one time he saw a fish literally go right in front of his face. And he freaked out a little bit. He thought maybe there'd be another big fish chasing after him. But I'm proud of Alex. He's been raising a lot of money. I'm thankful for the people who have also donated and done their due diligence. But it's quite the event. My wife Liz is going to go check it out. I wish the Rays were in town. It would be kind of neat to see all this going on here in Boston. But yeah, thankfully he's going to be in a wetsuit. Hopefully, I told him to keep his mouth shut the entire time he's swimming in that water.
And Dave, before we finish up today, last question: the number 5 chain didn't fit you on the broadcast. What's the story behind that?
Boy, that's the Wander Franco chain they gave away on Friday. And obviously, as everybody can see, I've got a pretty big dome. It's 7 3/4. It's smaller. It's smaller than Bruce Bochy's and smaller than a few other guys. But, yeah, I didn't know it had a clasp on it. I didn't look at it real quick. It was during the game. But I would imagine that even if I would have been able to unclasp it and then redo it, it'd probably be more of a choker chain than what some of these guys are wearing where it comes down to their chest. But it was a cool giveaway. It really was. I mean, it was heavy. It was it looked authentic. I'm sure we gave away maybe 10 or 12,000 of them. I don't think the total that we paid for those probably equaled the one that Wander actually wears, but that's some pretty impressive bling. And it was a really cool giveaway. A lot of people really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was a little tight around the head. It looked more like a tiara, I guess, than it did a necklace. That's for sure.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining me. Best wishes, of course, with the Rays. I'm looking forward to the next time we chat for sure.
John, continued success to you too. Proud of you, man. And anytime, looking forward to chatting with you down the road. Maybe a little playoff preview. We'll see how it all goes. We can keep our fingers crossed for that. Thanks for having me.